Welcome to Raising a Mogul with Tamara Zantel, a podcast for momagers. The perfect platform for moms with the desire to raise superstar children without losing themselves. We cover all things parenting, self-care, and of course, business. The only place on the web where you can come to get the confidence, the knowledge, and the tools you need to raise your young mogul. Here's your host, Tamara Zantel.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for round 2 of Raising a Mogul with Tamara Zantel. I am your girl, Tamara Zantel, and I am excited to be here. I am excited to share with you because today is my first live stream show, Raising a Mogul with Tamara Zantel, and I conquered the technology beast. At least I feel like I did. So welcome to the Raising a Mogul show and podcast. We will be live streaming here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. I am your girl, Tamara Zantel. I am the CEO of Raising a Mogul with Tamara Zantel, where I give parents the confidence, the knowledge, and the tools they need to raise their young moguls. So why are we here? What is Raising a Mogul with Tamara Zantel? And this TV show, what is this all about? We are all here. You are here to hear from amazing moms that are making it happen, not only in their industry, but in their families with their children. So I created this platform because when I was raising my young mogul, her name is Zandra. She is 16 years old now. But when she started her brand at 9 years old, I really struggled to find opportunities for her. I struggled to find a platform, a community, a space where there were other moms like me dealing with a lot of the situations that I was dealing with. There were some moms out there, but there wasn't a whole lot of transparency. So that's what this platform is about. It's about creating opportunity, highlighting the moms behind the scenes that are doing most of the work. Yes, I said it, most of the work, and giving them a platform where they can speak freely, where they can share with you and help other moms along the way. So I'm super excited to bring to you 2 amazing guests. And my first guest this evening is Miss Keosha Hinson. Keosha, she is an amazing woman. She is a mom of 2 beautiful sons. She is a wife. She is doing her thing in corporate America. She is a creator. And she actually launched a couple brands that I was quite fond of. We're going to ask her where she is with that, because I know she absolutely, with this creativity, has the entrepreneurial spirit. And I'm super excited to have her here with us today. And I want to share her with you all because I have some really important questions I want to ask her, but I want her to highlight a lot of the things that she's dealing with and what her journey's been like with raising 2 amazing boys. Okay, so let's see if I can get her on here. We are going to highlight Miss Keosha, and we're going to make this work. Hello, Keosha. Can you see me?
I can. Hi.
Hello and welcome. I'm looking here to make sure that what y'all see, I can see. And just so you know, I have my cell phone here because the platform we're using, we will not see everyone's questions. So if they do ask us questions, I'll make sure I highlight that at the end. Okay. So Keosha, Thank you so much for being my guest. I'm very excited, as I stressed before, to have the opportunity to interview you and really just share you with everyone. The reason I created this platform is because a lot of times we as moms spend so much time working in and on our families. And a lot of times we're kind of left behind. Our kids are on a pedestal and it's like, oh, your son is amazing. And they just keep walking, Right. So why don't you, I want to give you the floor and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, nothing really, I'm not really that interesting, but I'm just a mother, of 2 boys. I had my older son when I was 18. So, of course, with that, that was already 1 strike against me. And then I had a Black boy. So, of course, that was always hard as well. Then, I had my other son. So then it was two boys I was raising, 2 Black boys I was raising alone as a single mother. So it was difficult for me. It was difficult with babysitters. It was difficult, to juggle work and school and then to still be a mom and still try to cook. All those things were super difficult. So,
I can imagine.
it was difficult as a single mother. 7 years ago, I met my wife. And, that was a difficult transition, of course, for my boys, because moving into a lesbian relationship, they had never seen that before. But I feel that if you give your children a strong foundation, children are very resilient. Some things we think as adults will bother them really won't, if you teach them and bring them up from children to accept people for who they are. So it was actually a smooth transition with them.
That's amazing. I don't know how many people can say that's a smooth transition. So first of all, we talk about being a single mom of 2 brown boys, and then we talk about bringing another person into the household after you've been a single mom for so long. That is hardly ever, or just the idea of it does not say smooth transition. So for you to be able to accomplish that is huge. I remember also myself when I was a single mom, and I had 1 boy, and I remember being so worried about how I was going to lay this foundation for him. I always felt like I needed to overcompensate. I was always a forward-thinking mom, which was really important. So, even when I was pregnant with him, I knew what nursery school he was going to go to. I knew what daycare he was going to go to. I used to prey on what high school I was going to be able to afford for him to go to. So forward thinking was a huge part of my journey, and I feel like why I was so successful. But what do you have to say to other moms that are struggling or that may not have found their soulmate yet, and they're still trying to raise these phenomenal boys, these phenomenal children, but yet they're feeling, possibly alone or, just struggling with the thought of building amazing children while, being in a relationship or looking for love?
I think that it's super important to start with your children. You start them young. You start them building the foundation when they're young, so that when they do grow, they're growing into these amazing people, and you've taught them things that they need to kind of carry them through their journey. It's difficult. It's hard. And I think that, when you have good kids and when you've instilled good things in them, they'll kind of help you along the way. And I can remember my son being 8. And I can remember me saying, you know what? I have to go to work. We can't be on the streets. So I'm going to have to leave you home by yourself. And he asked me just last month, he says, Mom, he says, did you ever think you were going to be to this point where, you started off with me leaving me home alone because you had to go to work. Now you have a wife and you're happy and you have a great paying job and you have a car. And I thought about it and I said, God, they're always watching. When we think that they're not, always, they're always watching you. They're always watching to see if you are continuing to push forward.
That is so important. So important. And I speak about that a lot, about the fact that they're always watching, because I think sometimes in our own tragedy, struggle, misery, even happy, depending on where you are in your life, that hustle and bustle of just trying to make it, we forget. We spend so much time on ourselves and actually doing the thing that we're doing to survive. We forget that the children are sitting there and they're actually watching. They can feel it. They can feel what's happening in the house and what our emotions are like, and they carry that to school with them. They grow up with it. So I love that. What I'm hearing you say is I feel like communication is a huge part, is what,
absolutely.
When you communicate with your kids and you instill that strength in them, that they feel like they can trust you and that we're going to be okay and we're going to grow together,
Exactly.
So I love that. So you have 2 boys, you have Jordan and you have Stefan. And I understand that they're both pretty amazing in their own right. But I understand that Jordan just recently won this amazing oratorical contest. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
He did. So, with being 2 women raising boys, Jordan doesn't have a father figure. So I want him to have positive male role models in his life. Not only that, but I want to keep him busy, basically, because I feel like if I'm keeping him busy and keeping him in positive programs, then that will benefit him in the long run. So it was kind of funny. I went to a think tank, a HBCU think tank, and there was one of the speakers there, and I really liked him. I liked the way he spoke to the kids. And I talked to Jordan about the importance of building relationships and how important it is that when you're somewhere, you never know who this person is and where this person can get you. And it's always important to speak, introduce yourself, and to be unforgettable. So I always instilled that into him.
Love it.
And his name is Kent and Drew, and we saw him at the barbershop. And I said, Jordan, oh, you remember him from the barbershop? And me and him just talked. And he told me about the Jack and Jill Battalion. Now, I had never heard of the Battalion. I was like, well, what is that? And he was like, well, it's really for, people that know people. If you don't know anyone, you probably won't know about this battalion. And I said, well, keep me up to date. I would love to put Jordan in this battalion. Of course, Jordan wasn't too excited about the battalion. He was like, Mom, what is this? Am I going to do this?
Right.
And we had no idea that he was even good at speaking. Like, we knew that he's passionate about things that he's just passionate about, but I didn't know that he had so much talent and was so good at it. He was so good at it. And so he did. He won the oratorical contest. He placed as a finalist, and then he went on to compete, and it was the topic was unapologetically Black. So his first speech was about being unapologetically Black, and then his second speech was a letter to America as an unapologetically Black male. So he did an amazing job. Like,
he had to.
I was so proud.
That's powerful. Just the topic alone is powerful.
It is. Absolutely. Yeah. I was so proud of him. So extremely proud of him. And I was happy that my 11-year-old was there to see his brother and to cheer him on. So, that's his role model. He did an amazing job.
Right. And what a role model he is. And for him to give his brother that platform of, look at what I can do, look at what I have done, opens up a whole new possibility, for Stefan, for him to be like, oh, this is what we're doing, So let's talk about this. So you're in this moment where you're like, what is that, battalion thing, or, this whole thing? Like, what is that? Do you know how many moms would have just got in their car, went home, and just never thought about it again? Or how many moms would have wondered but never asked and never been aggressive enough to actually say, keep me posted, or let me do some research and figure that out. So I feel like a lot of times I come across mothers or I connect with people and they're like, how did you do this with Xandra? How did you get from here to there? And I say the same thing consistently. I had to knock down doors. I had to do my research. No, it was not easy, but yes, it has been completely worth it. So really the aggression that we have in our own careers. And I know how, you know exactly what I'm talking about because you've moved up in your company and you're, like you said, you have a great paying job and you're doing very well for yourself. But if you didn't take that same aggressive spirit or that go-getter mentality or that idea of leveling up or thinking up and thinking larger enough of yourself that you deserve more and apply it to your children, we would have never known that he was an amazing speaker.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that just goes to show you sometimes you have to step out on the ledge and really just, be faithful and just jump and just leap, and just see what's going to happen. And if we don't expose our children to different things and opportunities that they may not have even ever dreamt of or thought of, then they could be missing out. And I think if you ladies, parents, I should say, if you're listening, that should definitely be one of your major takeaways, that if you don't create the opportunity and expose your children, they could be missing out. You never know when the opportunity might come. And I commend you for even just going to hear the speaker and say, and training him on, sticking his hand out and rolling his shoulders. I love it. I love it because they have to learn those lessons, very, very early on. So what advice would you give to the single mother that may be where you were years before or moments before you actually met the love of your life?
I think it's really important to be honest with your children. And I think your children need to really know who you are. I think a lot of mothers, we keep those stories to ourselves that kind of got us to where we are today. And I think that doesn't help our children. I think, I'm completely honest with my son about who I am, who I used to be when I was younger, how I have grown, and why I am no longer that person. And I think that in doing that, that helps him to understand me a little bit better. He understands my strength. He understands why I do what I do. And I think that the why is extremely important for our children to grow. So, I mean, that to just be consistent, consistency is important as well.
Yeah.
And to remember that they're always watching. That's just the most important thing, that they're always watching.
Always. Absolutely. I love that. I absolutely love that. So first, I want to say to you, Keosha, before we move on to your vlog, because I definitely want to give you the opportunity to talk about that, I would need to go back a little bit, because when we first started this and I asked you to introduce yourself, you said something along the lines like, there's nothing special. I'm just... Let me be, and I know I'm not the first, but let me tell you in front of all these people that are watching that you are something really special. You know, like the knowledge that you have dropped and the information that you have given and just the encouragement, like I'm listening to and I'm feeling like stronger, you know, and I know that there are other women that are going to watch this and feel like at some point I thought it was impossible, you know? So when you share your story, you can just see your passion come through, and I really am grateful for it and I commend you for it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. So let's talk about this. So the Two Mom Crew.
Yes.
The new vlog.
Yes.
You want to share a little bit about that and tell us how we can find you?
So
follow your journey.
Yeah. So it's still new, and we're still like, you know, getting things together. But we basically started the vlog because there's a lot of misconceptions about lesbian couples. And, you know, a lot of people, there also comes a lot of stigma because people just don't understand. And so when you don't understand things, some people just immediately go to, what is that? How does she have 2 kids and now, you know, she's a lesbian? Or how does this happen? And so, you know, we started the vlog to really just be educators and to educate people on our journey. Mm-hmm. My wife is expecting a baby, and we have done that through artificial insemination. So we really wanted to,
Thank you. Exciting. So, oh my gosh.
So we really wanted to educate those on how does that happen? You know, because to be honest, as a woman, I thought I knew it all. I thought I have 2 kids. I know how it works. I know how you get pregnant. I had no idea. Like, I had no idea about the process of getting pregnant. Like, it seems so easy, right? Yeah, it's not. So, you know, I wanted to educate those, and, you know, maybe those in the community that don't know that there's an option for them to have a family, even though they don't have a male, you know, figure there, or male, you know. Yes. So basically that's what it's for. It's to educate, and then to kind of have a look into our life and see, you know, we're like any other couple.
Right. I love that. And so look into your life, and your kids are a huge part of that. So soon to be 3, that's an interesting journey, because I feel like sometimes if we have things that people don't understand, like you said, some couples, any other couple may have just kind of keep it to themselves. People are really private, which I get. I understand privacy and I appreciate privacy, but a lot of times I feel like at times, depending on the situation, privacy can also hinder other people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Not only our children, ourselves, and the other people that we might work with and come in contact on a daily basis. So we can't expect people to know how to treat us or to know, to understand us if we haven't shared anything about ourselves with them.
Exactly.
So that's super important. So I am going to thank you so much for joining us, but it's not over. I'm going to bring on our next guest, and we're going to talk it out in a little bit. Okay?
Okay.
All right. All right, everybody. That went so well. No technology difficulties, and I am super excited to bring to you our next guest. Is going to be Miss Moni B. So she is a superstar in the makeup world, in the beauty industry. And I am excited to share with you her story. And actually, she'll share with you her story, but I want to highlight her story and give you the opportunity to learn a little bit about Miss Moni B, the CEO and founder of Moni B Cosmetics. So let's welcome her. Let me just get her on here so we can see her and make this happen.
Can you see me? Can you see me?
I can see you. I can see you. I think I got it right. Did I get it? I think I got it. Woo! All right. So welcome, Moni. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
I didn't officially read your bio, but I do want everyone watching to know that you are a native New Yorker. You now reside in Raleigh, North Carolina. You are the CEO, as I said, and founder of Moni Brodie Cosmetics. I can't wait. I thought about you when I put this lipstick on. I was like,
a little familiar, but I know it's not, but we will get you in some Moni Brodie Cosmetics.
Yes, please and thank you. And Moni is also the single mom of King Bryce. I just love it. I had to say it. I understand that we're going to find out exactly what King Bryce is, who King Bryce is later on, but I just had to say it, King Bryce. So welcome, Moni, and thank you for joining us this evening.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you just fine. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Well, hey out there. I am Moni Brodie, but if you shorten that, that's Moni B. And I am native New Yorker from the Bronx, New York, and currently living in Raleigh, North Carolina. Single mom, as you said, to an amazing 11-year-old son who is 5'9" and wears a size 12 shoe, so he is not as small as I'm making him seem.
Wow.
Well, July 27th, so we're excited about that. And just an entrepreneur that stepped out on faith. I worked in corporate America for many years and always wanted to do my own thing. I'm also a makeup artist, so I was doing makeup back home in New York, moved down to North Carolina after 9/11 just to get a different environment. It was a very scary time in New York back then when 9/11 happened. So moved down to North Carolina where my parents are originally from just to kind of get a fresh start, and have been here now for 15 years. And again, worked in corporate America, did a lot of things, but finally decided to branch out, do my own thing. And in 2014 was when Moni Brodie Cosmetics first started to really happen. And in 2015, it was an official business. And what really prompted me to do it was back in 2005, when I was pregnant with my son, my dad, who wasn't sick, didn't have any health issues, suddenly died while I was pregnant with my son. I'm an only child. It was very traumatic. Wow. But my mom and I, we stuck together and we got through it. And then in 2013, my mom suddenly died. There was no sickness.
Oh, my goodness.
That would indicate that would happen. So here I am, just kind of in the world, my son and I trying to figure out what I was going to do. And that's when I really decided, life is short. We oftentimes say here today, gone tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I learned that it's here today, gone today. That's how quickly it happens. Wow. So, and decided to just step out on faith and kind of channel grief into building my brand. So a lot of times people say, what motivates you? Actually, my grief. I turned the grief into motivation to start Moni Brodie Cosmetics. So
wow. That is amazing. Amazing. Once again, I commend you for your strength and your action, because I keep saying this, that like when I'm listening, I'm just like same thing with Keosha. I was listening to her speak and I'm like, do you know how many moms would have just given up?
Right.
You know how many people would have just been like, you know what? All this unpredictable things just keep happening. Let me just stay safe in corporate America where I know the paycheck is coming,
right,
and just rest here because everything else is just too much. I'm not ready for all that, So I think it's amazing. So can you tell me a little bit about, I know you channeled your grief into launching this amazing brand that you have, but the moment, like what was going through your head when you realized, like I have something amazing that I want to share with the world, but I'm a single mom. I have this little boy to feed.
Right.
Like, what is that in that moment, like right before you say I won't be back on Monday, or here's my 2 weeks, what does that feel like? Like, can you verbalize that?
Well, it's not as glamorous as it sounds. My boss was a little eccentric and we had issues along the way. And it was kind of, if I come back in here, I'm going to hurt her or she's going to hurt me. So let me just kind of step out and do my own thing. So it actually wasn't a plan to do it at that time. Right. It was a plan eventually, but I'm of the belief that scare money makes no money. So I just kind of stepped out. I mean, literally stepped out on faith. My brand, I was still, building it and doing a lot of things with it. But it was at that time that I just went really hard. And I was like, I just got to make this happen. I always knew because of skills and education that I could go back to corporate America. So I was never afraid that if my business didn't, take off, what am I going to do now? I was like, if I have to go and be a receptionist and answer some phone somewhere, I'll do that.
I love it. Yes.
But it was kind of like, we're going to go with the plan A and we're just going to do that. But I also want to say that it's very important. I know we haven't, necessarily gotten into this yet, but it's very important to have an amazing and supportive circle.
Yes.
Especially when you are a single mother. That was the only way that I could do what I was doing, that I could go to these networking events and do this and do that, was because of the amazing circle of friends and family that I had around me. So,
I love that you mentioned that. Because a lot of times we as women, especially sometimes, I don't want to say all the time, but as Black women, we have this thing where we want to, roll our shoulders back and say, I did that, or I just made it happen.
Right.
Oh, it worked great. And I had a little bump in the road and I just pulled myself up by my bootstraps and I made it happen. But it's not too often that you hear people say, yeah, I had to call everybody I knew. You know what I mean? And line them up so they could babysit. Or I had to have someone bring my son macaroni and cheese. Or like Keosha said, I might have had to leave my son alone for a little while.
Right.
So I can make this happen. So definitely the tribe, not only when you're building a dream and a brand, but also when you're raising a child that you know is destined for greatness. So I totally love that you said that and you shared that, because I know for a fact that we're going to have other women watching that are just going to figure it out. They're looking at this beautiful brand and your face is all made up and all this excellent stuff going on, and they don't really understand the back end, So people, a lot of times they're like, well, that's great, Moni, but I got this, I have that, I need this, I need that, So I think, you being inspired by, today could just be the last day.
Right.
A lot of times great things happen in those moments when we realize that, what have I been waiting for? Now I need to just live. You notice like when someone gets this bad diagnosis or death happens in our lives, that's when we decide to really start to take action.
Right.
So, and so one of the things that I'm really passionate about is getting moms, like us, to take action sooner. Not only action for ourselves, but action for our children.
Right.
So I talk about not waiting until the kids are 16. The law, the world puts these barriers. So you can't, you have to be 16 to drive. You have to be 18 to do this. You have to be 21 to do that. But there's so much that they can do at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're just limiting them because we've been limited. So as I say that, I'm thinking about your son, Bryce, and this brand that he is building. And so while you're building a brand, he is inspired to build a brand. You talked about networking. So let's tie this all in. Tell me a little bit about that.
So as I was going to these events and speaking and doing all these things, Bryce was there. I mean, he saw the struggle. He saw me shipping orders out the house. And, he saw all of those things. He was old enough when I started Moni Cosmetics to understand exactly what was going on. And he would often tell me, Mommy, I'm proud of you. And he would, my son, he's a very special little boy. Of course, like all boys, he's rebellious at times, but he has a very sweet soul and personality. And he would, Mommy, I'm proud of you, or Mommy, you can do it. Or he would tell me, Mommy, go to sleep, or, just different things like that. But what he also saw was you can make money and you can build a brand and you can do all these things. And he gets excited if we're out and about and someone says, oh, hey, Moni, how are you? It's like, Mommy, they know who you are. And it's so funny because we were just out on last week and my best friend, her son graduated from high school, and we were out at a restaurant and a friend of mine, like she's my friend, saw Bryce first and was like, there's Bryce. And then she said, well, where's your mom? So now he gets recognized sometimes before I do. But anyway, he saw all of this going on and he said, you know what, Mommy, I want to do my own thing as well. So I was like, well, what do you want to do? So he was like, I'm not quite sure. So I had a few ideas and he had some, and we just kind of put it all together and we came up with his own lip balm and his brand, which is King Bryce. And he came up with the scents. His grandfather is a pastor, and he would always spray, whenever Bryce would stay with him, he would always spray a little bit of his cologne on his clothes, or, to kind of make certain that he smelled like him. So I think Bryce kind of associates smelling good with his granddad and all that. So he was like, well, Mommy, what about if I had a scent? So we went to a place here called Horizon that actually sells my products in Durham, and they custom make scents. So he went in there and he sat down with them and the staff, and he came up with his own scent. I didn't want anything to grown and, all those. He did it. I had no input other than, Mommy, smell this. Do you like this one? Or do you like this one? Or do you like this one? And it's his own scent. He named it. It's called So Fresh. And he,
so fresh, so clean. I like it.
And that's his thing. So we're very excited. We launched it initially last year, but then had to relaunch some things to kind of go through, just labeling, just all those kind of things.
The whole rebranding process. I get it. Yeah.
So actually in August, he will be in the second annual Triangle Children's Business Fair.
Yes. Yes, I was excited. I'm glad you're saying that because I was going to ask you about that. Yes.
But he will actually be competing against other people in his age group to win the prize for the most innovative, the most kind of put together children's business. So we are very excited about that. That takes place
on.
So yeah.
So will he be pitching as a part of this, or he just presents his products? How does it work?
He will be selling his products. He will be pitching it. People will be there to purchase from the children that are there. So he has to pitch his products and sell it. And parents cannot be involved. So he has a team of other little boys who will help him.
I love it. So we're talking about team building. So let me think. We talked about launching. So we talked about startup training. We've already got the networking down. We've done a rebrand. We're talking about all the whole STEM, the science, technology, engineering, the arts, the math, the formulation, because lip balm is definitely formulation.
Exactly.
He picked out his scent. And now we're talking about pitching he's done it.
He's done it. He's going to have to come up with his own setup, his own display for the table. They made it very
merchandising. I'm like, these are all the things I'm here. I'm like, ding, ding, ding. That's amazing. Tell me again, how old is he?
He's 11. He will be
11
by 27. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. And I know you have to be so proud.
I am. I'm very proud. If he were here, he's actually with a family member this week, but if he were here, he would be on. He's very personable. He loves to speak. He loves things like this. Little children love him. So yeah, but he's not here right now. But if he were, he'd be on here. He'd want to be on here talking to you and to the
I love it. I cannot wait to meet King Bryce. I'm very excited. And I'm very proud of what he's been able to accomplish. But I have to say, once again, which most people know, that if it wasn't for you, he wouldn't have ... And so I talked about it a little bit earlier that the purpose of this platform is to expose other moms to what is actually possible. You know, not to make it look easy or to make it, to package it and put it in a cute little box with a bow on it, but really just to give, the nitty gritty of what it's like, what the journey's like and how does this happen? And one of the things that's resonating with me with your story is that you brought him along. You know? And I think, at least, I don't know about anybody else, but how I grew up, a lot of it was, the kids are meant to be seen and not heard, or the grown folks go and do this thing and the kids are at home, and they just get preparing for school the next day. So I think a lot of times we as parents, we forget how amazing our lives are and how we can really actually start to bring our children into the fold. And it not really cause a disruption. And a lot of times when kids are loud or boisterous or won't sit down or overactive and all these labels that they're given at times, it's because they don't have enough to do.
Right.
As we get older, get bogged down and stressed out and all that. But a lot of times kids, we won't know what they can handle until we present it to them, And I love that you included him.
And I brought him with me, not really thinking like the way that you're saying it. I'm like, wow, that sounds really awesome. But I brought him with me because I didn't have any choice. But it ended up being a really great thing for him to be exposed to that. So now if I were to give a single mom advice, I would definitely say to include your child in the process. But I learned just by having to do it because I didn't have any other option. But yeah, it sounds really good the way you said it.
Yeah. I love it. She's like, well, not really, but sort of kind of. And we actually touched on that.
As parents, there's no blueprint. So, we kind of do things by trial and error. But now I spoke with some single moms not too long ago, and I will actually be speaking at an event on Saturday with some moms. And that's one of the things that I will share. Include your children in your journey as an entrepreneur or through your career. Let them see you studying and earning that bachelor's degree or that doctorate's degree so that they can understand these things. It takes work.
Absolutely. And that, I have to say, that's one of my fondest memories of my mom. And when I was younger, is I remember watching her study. She was in college. I was old, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know. I was old enough to remember. I would bring her, water at night. It'd be 2:00 in the morning. I'd wake up to go to the bathroom, and she'd still be studying. I remember her working hard to get her master's degree. And so when I was in school, I used to always think, anytime I felt discouraged, I would think, she did it, and she did it with all of us watching.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's really important. And that came up earlier with in my conversation with Keosha, the importance of understanding that your kids are watching.
Exactly.
Everything that we're doing. And so if they're there, why not include them and increase their opportunities?
Right.
So exposure is the thing. And until we expose them, build the foundation and help create and start to do our research and create opportunity, we'll never know what is possible.
Right.
So you touched on this a little bit, Moni, and I appreciate it. But tell me again what you would say to a single mom that possibly. So obviously you're doing well. So I don't know exactly what place you're in, but say a single mom that is feeling stressed out, is feeling a little confused about the direction she's going in, and she's trying to raise amazing kids. What would you say to her in that moment?
I would likely first say to stop and breathe. Because something that you touched on earlier that, and I don't know if it's necessarily a cultural thing. I don't want to say that it is, but I do find that as Black women, we try to be super women all the time.
Yes.
And we can do everything in the world where at the end of the day, you cannot. So again, when I spoke about that circle, I would definitely tell them to utilize that circle. There's a young lady that I spoke with one time, and something that I told her was that we are so used to not asking for help that we realize that there are people that want us to ask them for help, so that because they see you trying, they see you wanting to do more. But if you don't reach out, a lot of times people won't reach out to you because they don't want to be offensive. They don't want to do all that. So, utilize your circle. There are people in your circle wanting to help you. Like, girl, bring those kids over here. They're fine. So that's the first thing that I would say. Kind of stop and breathe. Take some time to just kind of think about things. And then as parents, we have to prioritize things. You can't always just let things kind of fly. You got to plan your day when you have kids, when you're going to drop them off, when you're going to do this, when you're going to do that. But really speaking with your children as well. Like, there would be times when I wanted to do things with Bryce, but I had to do things that were part of my business. Explain to them what's going on. They will appreciate that honesty, even if it seems like they're getting upset. Bryce and I also have days when we go out and we have mother and son dates, but it really takes planning. It takes conversation. It takes transparency. It takes being real with your kids in a way that you may not necessarily think they're ready for, but you have to. You just have to do it.
You have to. I love it. I'm so excited about everything you're saying because it is exactly what I talk about every day. and you know what? I'm going to bring Keosha back on, and we're going to talk about this a little bit. And I'm going to give you, both of you ladies, an opportunity. And then we'll see if we have any questions from those beautiful people that are watching.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get her back on here, and then we can include her in this conversation, because I think it's a very important conversation.
Okay.
Welcome back, Keosha.
Hi.
Did you enjoy your break?
I did.
So I wanted to bring you back on because Moni touched on some very important points that you also brought up in our earlier conversation. She talked about the importance of transparency with your children, in addition to communication and being transparent, communicating with them, even when you think that they may not be ready. So what I hear you both saying is let's stop underestimating our children. Don't underestimate what you think they can handle and when they can handle. Obviously, certain things have to be age appropriate. There's certain things we won't share. But like I said before, I feel like we've been trained to kind of keep secrets or kind of hold it all to ourselves, and just kind of deal with it in silence while our children stand back and watch and wonder what the heck is going on.
Right.
So I love this conversation and the opportunity to share with other moms that, whatever you're dealing with, sit your kids down and say, you know what? We have $5. Let's make a plan.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or, hey, you know what? Mommy is just, this week is tough for me. So I need you we might have to do bologna sandwiches. You know what I mean? Like, right. I don't feel like all that, So I definitely think it's important for me to highlight that I hear you both kind of saying the same thing. You both have amazing young men that you're raising and you're doing a super job, but the theme is similar: the transparency, the communication, the inclusion, So I just wanted to say that because I really think that's important. Can each of you give me an idea of what you could tell our audience, or give a couple tips maybe on how and the importance of raising confident boys? Keosha?
I think sometimes, my son, to me, I think he's confident, but then of course he has his own insecurities as well. And I think sometimes we forget what it's like to be their age. Mm-hmm. We sometimes say, well, when I was your age, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to work. You don't have to pay bills. But, right. To them, their life is serious and like they're going through serious stuff. So, I constantly tell him that he's doing a great job and that I'm proud of him. And, as you know, and a lot of the viewers don't, in 2014, my son attempted suicide. So prior to that, prior to him doing that, I was really hard on him because I felt that I needed to be. Mm-hmm. I felt that if I was not hard on him, that I would lose him to the streets, to, other boys that are doing things that I don't necessarily want my child to do. And so I felt that I had to be really strong, really hard on him. I felt that I had to give him these strict guidelines. You can't bring a grade in here under a 75. When in actuality, a 75 or a 74 may have been his best. Because we're not always good at everything. So in dealing with his transition and his recovering from what he was going through, I had to learn that I let him know, as long as you do your best, I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. And sometimes as parents, we push our children to do more than they're kind of capable of giving us. They're doing what the most they can do. And if we tell them that, if you're giving me your best, I'm proud of you, then I think that that's enough for them.
I love that. That's amazing. And I commend you for making the shift because once again, there's a lot of parents that won't recognize what their role was in that and make the shift, make the change, adapt, learn from the experience and create a better family and relationship with your son. It would have just been like still on him. And I feel like a lot of people suffer with depression or a lot of issues in their family. They don't feel like they have anyone they can talk to, right. Or feel like no one understands or was never really addressed. That's another thing. You know, we talk about, you know, keeping secrets and the lack of communication. So when we don't address things, actually try to understand them for ourselves as parents. I went through something a little similar with my son, you know, in the labels of his disability, and he's on the autism scale and spectrum rather. And I remember I had to educate myself because I didn't know what they were talking about. I was like, what do you mean? I have one kid and he's great. How does this possible? They eat the same thing, you know, sleep in the same house. Like, how can he be so completely different? I literally had to learn how to parent him, you know, what he was, you know, what his expectations of me were and what my expectations of him had to completely shift. Because it's not a cookie cutter thing. You know, Moni, like you were talking about, they don't come with a manual. You know, you just have to kind of like figure it out, respect them for who they are and where they are and what they tell you and you feel they're capable of. You know, those things have to mesh together.
That is true. I can think of, you know, what I used to say to my son is, what do you need from me? What can I do to make this easier for you? Or what do I need to do to help you? Like, because I mean, I don't know what's going on in his mind. Right. I need him to tell me, you know?
Right. That's excellent. That's excellent. I love it. I love it. Because sometimes as parents, we're just so arrogant and like, I've been a kid before.
Exactly.
I know how to do this. You don't tell me. I'm the grown up. Exactly. You know what I mean? And here we are trying to fix our own lives and we're a mess and they're watching us be a mess, but we have these high expectations of how we want them to live their life, but we're not, you know, living up to our own full potential.
Exactly.
You know? So I love that. And I love that. And one thing I want to say before I let you go, Moni, is that I think it's really important for those of you that are watching to kind of catch on to the theme of this, you know. So we're talking about communication and transparency, encouraging, just is all about the process, you know, from when they're little all the way through their teenage years and into their adulthood, you know. So these are things that we had to do, work on ourselves and identify in ourselves, educate ourselves on it, really just kind of get, you know, as you go along, depending on your specific child, in order for them to feel confident enough, inspired and supported enough to launch their own Lip Online, to launch their own speaking it into existence, Keosha, company, because he will be traveling and sharing his experiences and his journey with other young men that need to hear it. I believe that. So he would never have been able to get on that stage and recite this amazing, in this amazing oratorical contest if he didn't feel that you had his back, if he didn't feel all the amazingness. And because really, like you said earlier, we give them all the best, we fill them with all the best of us. And when the time is right, it all comes back out of them. So whatever we give them is what they'll give back to the world. So that's super important. Moni, what would you say, give tips on raising a confident boy?
One thing that I think is really important, and we don't do this enough as parents, is let your children know that you're human. You know, sometimes we try so hard to protect them and we don't want them to see us cry and we don't want them to see us this. And if the more that they see that you're human, you're a woman, you're mommy, you're whomever, they'll understand some things a little bit better, I think. So my son, although I'm sure he thinks I'm amazing because we all think that our parents are, yes. He knows that I'm human. He knows that mommy gets tired. He knows that mommy. So I think that's one thing that we need to do. Stop the superwoman thing. Just, you know, stop it. If you want to give that impression to people on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, that's on you. But don't give that impression to your children that you're just, you know, that you're just the guru of all things. Let them see that human side of you. And have those moments where you're very open and honest. My son and I, we started maybe a few years ago doing something called Start Stop. And I actually got that from corporate America. And what you do is we don't have a board in corporate America. We would have a whiteboard and we would talk about all this stuff. But he'll basically tell me, and I'll tell him too, Mommy, I want you to start doing this. And I want you to stop doing this.
I love that.
So he'll just be chilling in my room looking at a movie, and I'll say, Bryce, stop. And be like, oh Lord. And I'll say, you want mommy to start doing what? And he'll tell me, like, mommy, I want you to start trusting me more. That's a conversation that we had the other day. Trusting me more to make good decisions. Something I tell him all the time, especially before he leaves for school, is make good decisions. I tell him that all the time. So he told me the other day, mommy, I want you to start trusting me more, make good decisions. And he'll say, I want you to stop, teasing me about eating cheeseburgers all the time, or, just something.
Right. I love that.
Yeah, it can be as simple as that, but we started doing that. And like I said, we'll just be sitting around and I'll say, start, stop. And it's always when it's just me and him. We don't do this around other people. This is our private time. And we just do it. And I want to create that openness to talk about everything. And he'll tell me about girls. Like one time he said, mommy, how long should you wait before you start to talk to another girl? And I'm like, well, it depends. And he started talking to me about some little girl at school. So,
oh boy,
frank, open conversation about it. But that's how we chat. That's how we roll. So communication is so important. And I have those moments where I'm like, when I was your age, but I try my best to be very mindful of the things I say. And sometimes I'll stop saying something because I'm about to say something that I may not say. And he'll say, mommy, what were you going to say? And I'll say nothing, because I want to be very mindful of what I say to him, because I know that my words will either encourage him or discourage him.
Yes.
To be very mindful of those things. So
that is amazing. That's amazing. I absolutely love it. I think I might implement that start, stop thing.
Start, stop. And you could be in the kitchen cooking together and you'll say, start, stop.
Only thing is my kids will be all the time talking about, mommy, stop. And I'm like, where's the start part?
Sometimes stop the start, or they'll start. Like one time it was like, every time we did the start, stop, it was start giving me more allowance, or start, it was all.
Yes. But it's inspiring and encouraging the conversation. I love that. And I love that it's taken seriously, but it's all kind of done in fun. So therefore they can actually say how they feel. Because that's another thing, like we don't open the doors where our kids feel like they have the opportunity to really share how they feel, especially about us. Because not only do we get offended, and then they love us so much, they don't want to offend, they don't want to hurt our feelings.
Right.
So I think that's a gentle, fun way that he could save it and say, okay, maybe we stop, or whenever he feels like he has to do it, he could say, hey, I don't like when you pack my lunch like that. I don't like you said, I start giving me more allowance. That's a perfect segue into at times something that could be a difficult conversation.
And he knows whenever we do the start, stop, that there's nothing that's off limits.
I love that.
During that start, stop. Now, some other time, watch your mouth, but whenever start, stop, he can say anything.
Moni, don't play that. Cut it out, Bryce.
Exactly. Stop is like a no holds barred, very open. You can say whatever you want to say. Like, there's sometimes when he said things to me that I was like, oh my God, stop, and I was like, I didn't even
know I did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. They're amazing. I'm telling you, they're amazing. So that was good. That was good stuff. And I hope everyone that is watching and that will be listening is really taking some notes and taking all this information in, because these ladies are being completely transparent and giving us some really good information on how we can raise our young moguls. One last question I have for both of you beauties, and it is your legacy. What would your young mogul say you left for them?
You want me to go first?
Sure.
I would hope that one of the things that I left with Bryce is to go for it, to do it. Don't leave without at least attempting, without trying. I often say, especially when I speak, that there's no such thing as a mistake. You just learn how not to do it the next time. Mm-hmm. And I tell him that as well. So I would hope that I've left a fearless spirit in him to kind of just go out to reach for the stars. If you didn't make it this time, then it helped you to be on your journey. Sometimes the failure again is not a failure. It's not a negative thing to it. It helps you to sometimes meet new people, meet new circles, and do new things. So the failure is what's needed in order for you to get that big win. So again, I hope I've left that fearless spirit. And of course, treat people good and all those good things. But more than that, also to be motivated by helping others. He loves to help others as a part of his kind of King Bryce thing. Mm-hmm. We're going to blessing bags and putting some things together that we did with a friend of mine for the homeless. And you kind of keep those blessing bags in your car. And as you see homeless people, you give it to them, and it's filled with chips and, all kinds of stuff. So that was something that he could do along with his brand, King Bryce. So we will be doing those. But again, that spirit to help other people. So be fearless, help other people, and just be motivated to be a better you than you were the day before.
I love that. I love it. Keosha?
So before, whenever my boys go to school, every morning before they go to school, before they leave out the door, I make them say, in everything that you do it so well that no man living and no man dead and no man yet to be born can do it better. So I want them to know that everything that they do, they need to put their all into it. There's nobody that can do them or be them better than they can be. So I want them to be confident and be strong. And most importantly, I want them to know that, they need to be kind when no one's watching, to treat people the way, they want to be treated. I always tell both of my boys, being kind, being a likable person will get you so far in life. And so I would hope that they remember those things. When I say to them, when they do things and I'm like, so would you like someone to treat you that way? And it's more of my little one, the 11-year-old, I'm still working on him. Jordan, he already knows. He knows. I give him that look and I'm like, now Jordan. And he's there because they're 6 years apart. He's able to, teach him and be a role model for him. So I would hope that they can look back and think that I, really implemented it. And it was really important for me, for them to do their best always.
Always. I love that. I thank you both so much for joining me this evening. I am so excited for the women and the parents in general that are going to watch this replay, that have joined us this evening. Thank you all for being here. I'm super excited. I'm inviting you to connect with Keosha, follow her Facebook page. She also has a YouTube channel. It is the Two Moms Crew. They are launching, and as you heard her tell you earlier, there are big things on the way, and I'm super excited for her. So please follow her journey and educate yourself. Learn a little bit about what she's experiencing and how she's raising these beautiful boys to be self-starters with great confidence. On a daily basis. And also connect with Miss Moni B Cosmetics, monibcosmetics.com. In addition to King Bryce, he is going to be relaunching soon, I understand in August, right, Moni?
Yes.
So look for him and his lip balm and his So Fresh, So Clean scent. I can't wait to get it from my boys. So this is amazing. And I thank you both for joining me this evening. And I invite you. I will send you both the link so you can share it on your social media, and you can share it with everybody and boast on yourself of how amazing you are. Not that you don't already know it, but the reason for this platform is so that you can feel inspired, encouraged, and know that not only are you raising amazing children, but you are also giving the world, amazingness in general. Not only through you, but also through your children.
And before we go, thank you so much. I'm very honored to be, along with Keosha, one of the first people to
I know, right?
Honor. And I know that there were some glitches along the way.
Yes, Lord Jesus.
An honor to be one of the first two people along with Keosha. I'm listening to her story, which is absolutely amazing as well.
Phenomenal, right?
I'll definitely be connecting with you, Keosha. But thank you, Tamara, for just allowing us or me to be here. I don't want to speak for Keosha, but this is an amazing platform that you're doing. I know so many moms who are raising moguls or who want to. So this is awesome. And I don't really see this done. So this is great. Thank you.
Thank you. You are so welcome. And any moms you have, send them my way because I want to highlight them and I want us to create a community where we can all support each other. That's really what it's about. It's about supporting each other and really just saying out loud to the world that you are not alone. You know, this is not easy, but I promise you it is so worth it. You know, and you ladies demonstrate that to the highest of the heights. And I appreciate you both for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for being here and sharing. Y'all dropped some nuggets. So I'm looking to see if we have any questions before I let you beauties go. And I don't think so, but I am going to check back because I know a lot of people are probably doing their thing, especially moms. So I know we're going to have a ton of shares and a ton of replays. If you're listening, watching, catching the replay, please share this with your community. Share this with any mom, anyone that's struggling to parent, anyone that's in the midst of their journey, that is struggling with fear, that is, wondering about how they can do this on their own or how they can do this in a relationship. Parenting is hard no matter where you are. You know, we already talked about this. There is no manual. There is no roadmap. We've tried to figure it out as we go. And platforms like this are amazing because it makes you not only understand and feel that you're not alone, but also we're dropping tips and tools and nuggets for you to take with you on your journey and for you to implement. A lot of the conversation this evening was about shifting, learning from other people's mistakes, their successes, and things that worked. So you have to learn as parents to shift a little bit. You say, you know what, that didn't work out so great. Let me try this. He didn't respond well to that conversation. Let me try this, So I commend both of you ladies and everyone that's listening and watching, and you are working really, being a parent is the hardest job in the world. And if you are doing it and doing it well, it is exhausting. So platforms like this, are necessary. So that's why I created this platform for us to highlight how amazing we are in addition to our children. So I thank you all for joining us this evening. You can catch the replay. Remember to share with your community. My name is Tamara Zantel. I am the CEO and the founder of Raising a Mogul with Tamara Zantel. I train, I coach, and I support parents by giving them the tools, the knowledge, and the confidence they need to raise their young moguls. You can find me at tamarazantel.com and also raisingamogultv.com. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Raising a Mogul with Tamara Zantel. If you've liked what you've heard today, be sure to check out other episodes at tamarazantel.com and join us in Raising a Mogul community at www.raisingamogultv.com. Looking for help on your manager journey? Does your child have a huge dream you want to support? Tamara can help. See you next time.